Brilliant, generous and kind. That's how Brigalia Bam remembers a young Nomzamo Madikizela-Mandela. The former Independent Electoral Commission chairperson is recalling the woman she befriended back in the 50s at the Hofmeyr School of Social Work here in Johannesburg.
Well, to remember Winnie, and South Africa in particular. The world will know Winnie because the world associates Winnie with one of the human beings known to the world in the 21st century, Nelson Mandela. So there will be those people in the world who will know that the person who contributed in the memories of the people in the world that there was a man sitting in prison who was a father, who was a husband, who had made a sacrifice and left a young wife and spent 28 years of his life, had a wife called Winnie. Some people will know that Winnie is the one, as Mandela would say, who made sure that he was not forgotten. Many South Africans were born when Mandela was already in prison. And many South Africans, hundreds of them, knew Mandela through Winnie.
Walking strongly, step by step, further into freedom.
1955, coming to Johannesburg, coming from the Eastern Cape, at that time referred to as the Transkei. And then I find these other women who are also here, delighted, because we are coming from the same background, and I'm a total stranger in the school. You don't know your way around the school when you arrive. On basic things like the lecture room, and naturally, if you see other younger women, and there was Winnie, striking me because she's so beautiful, and she is very, the word kind, the description of Winnie we used as young women, we used to say she is the most hospitable person. And our expression was, unobubele. She was a person Winnie already at that time who find it very ready to give. If you don't have money for bus fare to go back to the hostel, no big effort, Winnie. She's going to take out her 5 shillings, her 2 shillings, whatever it is. I would have to think perhaps 20 minutes whether I would give you my 20. That was that kind of person. And we said, hey, she's so generous. Hey, Winnie, we must go to her. We must go to her because she is the one who's soft-spoken, smiling, and we know she will never say no. And that was the thing. And the second thing, Winnie already has other friends. And so we are now becoming a group of, we were 4 women of us. We were all happened to come, of course, you know, clinging together, these village girls, not being, you know, in a big city like Johannesburg. Johannesburg looked bigger than it does now. Now that I've lived here, it's not so big. And we are in our 20s, and we are determined because we are coming from backgrounds where education is core. Most important thing in the environments we were coming from as education. And coming to Johannesburg, finding people with beautiful clothes, you know, that was so impressive, which is now people refer to as fashion. You, people of Johannesburg. And people of Johannesburg are speaking so many languages, you know. So this is all new to us. But Winnie had been there with Marcia, my friend, ahead of me. And so one of the things they did for me, coming, though I'm the same age group with them, is just to help me with what I would refer to now as orientation. And Winnie, in her quiet way, was always part of that group in our school, which was very good practice. I wish we could go back to it in most of our schools and even universities. There used to be sessions in our school of referring to newspapers, a formal time where students come in a room, and it was a very popular get-together. It was not a course, but everybody was expected to come. What you call the news, you know, news of the nation, amazing. The news that are important that have come. And this gave us an opportunity as students to sit together. And Winnie, in those groups, with her quiet voice, was always those women who will ask a question, gently and softly. I remember that. And Winnie, of course, sooner or later, in the later years, became even better known to many of our students because she became our pride by being chosen by the media. You know, the journalists came to the school. Now, you know, we read newspapers, we read the drum, we read the song, and then here are these people coming to our school, and they are looking for two beautiful women. They are looking for women who will be in the cover page. Oh, big story. And then, you know, we are all staring at Winnie, you know, with half anxiety. I'm not sure, maybe half envy that she's going to be interacting and asking, because as a cover girl, you must be able to speak intelligently, and you must also be knowledgeable. So that was Winnie. She qualified not only because, of course, she had the beauty, which is very important, but she also had the information, because they start a conversation with you. You must begin to talk intelligently and not be giggling, you know, which is the thing. So that was Winnie. So Winnie now became somebody we all, you know, she talked to journalists. And Winnie opened so many doors for women and for social workers. Secondly, Winnie became a very important model for young women, because as people see her walking down the long corridors in Baragwanath, she was not a doctor, and everybody got to know this woman as Winnie, a social worker. Many people, and I'm not exaggerating, many people, who didn't know much about social workers, because no social workers were roaming around the hospitals at the time, whether it was any of hospital, we had big hospitals prior to Baragwanath, but not as big as Baragwanath. And so here is someone who opens doors for us. She's our pride. She is a woman, and we know she is competent. And so she remained a very, very important woman who also gave very positive publicity to our profession to be known by many, many people. And Winnie remained this great professional social worker. She had no other name to go by, because there were no beauty contests that Winnie would be known for being beautiful. No, that wasn't the thing that's important those days. I'm sure if it were now, perhaps because she had been on the cover magazine, maybe her beauty would have been, you know, the thing people talk about, think it's important. No, it was really the respect for a professional woman and a professional leader. Her training as a social worker of caring for people and caring for the people who are in need never changed. Even now, if there is a crisis in any of our communities in this country, Winnie will always make sure that she'll go to that community, because it is her training. It is her training of learning to take care and to solve the problems of the people. That's where she comes from. And so her politicization was bigger than just, yes, indeed, democracy, but it was also that every human being should have a better life. Yes, we all wanted to vote, which is important, and I'm sure she wanted that like anyone else, but she also wanted to make sure that people, because she was a social worker, cared for people's lives and for their welfare.
Mrs. Mandela, how is your husband?
My husband is very well, thanks.
What's his...
The person they saw, they read about in the media, the person detained, the person fighting the police, the name is Winnie. So we have a whole generation of the 28 years of Mandela's time of exclusion from us, who heard about this person through her. And so Winnie kept the memory and the hope of that generation who didn't know Mandela at all, had never seen him. But she's the person who kept the hope that maybe things will change, because there was somebody who is my husband and somebody who is saying things to me, and I pass the messages to other people, and there is somebody whose children I have, and that was a long time. And that group will remember Winnie as a great, courageous woman, a woman of great integrity, a woman of tenacity, you know, because she became very courageous. The more she was subjected to all forms of repression, is the more she was regaining her own strength. So there will be that whole generation of South Africans who will know Winnie in that. Then there is my generation, those of us who met Winnie when she was in her early 20s. A student, a great student, a great professional social worker who did her work and made us women to be respected as professionals, and made us women in the profession to enter into areas of work where we would never have been entered, and opened doors. That's my generation. That's how I think of her. That student who was a beautiful woman, but her beauty was real with intelligence. That's how I see her. That's how I see us those days. And that we had this wonderful colleague who was so generous, who was so clever, who was always participating in a soft voice in all those debates of when we talk about the state of the nation, debates. And that's my generation. That's the Winnie I know.